once this thing's been run, you will have a different ISO value. You can take that ISO value and you can come inside of HyperMesh and you can put in an ISO surface threshold, and that would be the ISO value that you'd want. So that would be the 0.15 or whatever it is that you've decided to use. Once again, to get to this menu, you go to Post Processor, and then OS Smooth, and then it'll bring up this dialog. Yeah?
For our ISO value when we're optimizing our own parts, that's something that we just decide what it is?
So you'll kind of go through the little hyper viewer and move the ISO bar to see at what point is a good place to kind of place that. Because
it's just what we think.
Yeah, so like as you're coming in here and you're doing this, that is not going to work because there's no geometry here or down here. And so you just kind of need to put this thing where like, okay, I've got geometry. It doesn't look like there's a lot of material like where there's like gaps.
So just
but yeah, you should use your best judgment there. So you want to make sure that anywhere where there's red, that you're not removing material from that because red is high stress. So that's actually probably a place where you want to put more material rather than less. Okay? So you kind of just do the best you can to estimate where that is.
Yeah, that's a good question. Do you mind if I answer that as well?
Sure, go for it.
This optimization is a topology optimization. So it only shows where the load paths are and where you're going to need geometry.
So where the stress is.
It doesn't show how much. So if you have accurate loads and you know exactly what loads and constraints your thing is, you can run another optimization afterwards. Dr. Jensen's probably talked about this, a size and shape optimization. And that one will then tell you, okay, now actually you should add more material over here and less over there. If you already know what your geometry is and you want to just make some parts thicker or other parts thinner, then that other one will then do that. So there's multiple phases of optimization you can do to end up in a good result. So at this point, you just pick a good ISO value you think looks pretty good, basically.
Yeah. As you guys use this tool more often, you will use a lot more of the different types of optimizations, and so you can actually get a mathematical value that'll kind of do what you need to do. So, but for right now, just kind of eyeball what the ISO value is. So 0.15 is a pretty reasonable one. You've still got material basically wherever it is that you need it. So you'll come in to HyperMesh. You'll go ahead and type in the file dialog where your FEM file is. So the one that you guys should have if you've done the tutorial. So you'll come into your folder, go to wherever it is here, and I believe that's so here's an FEM file that was generated.
3 underscore check.
So you'll put your FEM file in, and as far as output,
you want to do the complete one because that's the one where you actually optimize it.
Yeah.
Because the check just is the one where it's just you ran the check, make sure there were no errors.
Oh, okay.
Complete is the one where you actually ran the optimization.
Yeah, you want to make sure that you're using the complete file that has all of the information from the OptiStruct analysis, not just the check, because the check file will just have check to see if the part will work. So you'll put your FEM file in this window. The output, I believe last time you guys talked about STL and IGES. Those are just different types of file formats where you can transfer geometry across CAD packages. IGES works very, very well with Catia, which is one of the advantages of Catia over NX. So we're going to go ahead and export an IGES. So you just put in your IGES there. Make sure you've got your ISO value, and then pretty much everything else you can kind of just leave as it is. And you'll go ahead and click OS Smooth when you're done. Okay? When you do that, it'll kind of take a few minutes. I can go ahead and do that now. It'll ask if it wants to overwrite a file, the OSS file. That's just a file that that had the preliminary results in it, and so you're just fine to overwrite that. So you click yes. It'll say exporting result file down here in the bottom, and then it'll kind of reopen the part inside of HyperMesh when it's done.
I wonder about that part in HyperView. I was having trouble getting it to work, but is that just like look at it and check?
Yeah, that's just to see which ISO value you use.
That's not going to affect the group in here.
No, not at all. And when you run the first OptiStruct analysis, it should automatically open a Piper view for you, and you should be able to just view the results right there and write down what ISO value you need. So that's the only reason why I opened up Piper views, just to show you this ISO value corresponds to the ISO value right here that you'll need for OS Smooth. So, okay.
You want me to just explain file formats and how it works now or later?
Yeah, Josh, I have one more guy that needs to call it.
Oh, okay.
Can you just call Alex and have the call?
Yeah, I've got, there we go.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Okay. Sorry, is everybody on? Okay, I've got 3 people, it says, so. Can you guys hear me okay? Can you guys hear me okay? Nope. Okay. Okay, so it sounds like my mic has stopped working. That's probably why right there. Okay, can you guys hear me okay now? Hello? 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 Shoot. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay. All right, so once you hit OS Smooth, it'll say OS Smooth terminated successfully, so you know that you've done it correctly. Once you've got that all set up, you can go ahead and head into Catia, and you can do File, Open. You don't have to, no. And there should be now an IGES file right there. In the same folder where everything was, yep. It'll put it in the same folder as where your FEM file is located. So you go ahead and press open, and it will convert the data, and you now have the optimized part. Okay, so you've got the part inside of Catia. It works really slick, a lot slicker than NX in my opinion. But so now you've got the part. The thing is now you've got to recreate the part, and you have to get it so that it's parameterized to your skeleton. Just do a file open and then click on the IGES. Let me check that real quick. What's up?
I just found it when you made it. So I got this, did that,
Okay, so
and it said it.
you have